अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्यदेवम् श्रीराधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नम ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगे राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण discussing the fifth quality, that is Sanga Tyag. And in the last class, if you remember, I'll share the screen. We discussed what is Sanga Tyag. Sangha is of two types, association and attachment. And in association, there is association with non-devotees and association with women. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur first deals with association with non-devotees, and he categorizes them into three classes: the karmis, the jnanis, the yogis, and the devata worshippers, the logicians, and the materialists. And how systematically Bhaktivinoda Thakur proves the jnanis are non-devotees, the karmis are non-devotees, the yogis are non-devotees. And of course, the materialists are non-devotees, there is no doubt. Even the Devata worshippers also are non-devotees. So like that, he proves. And then he goes on to explain how association with women, how for a Vairagi to associate with women, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's example of punishing Chota Haridas. And for Grahasthas, what exactly is association with the wife? So all that quite in detail, Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains. Now, today we will begin with the second meaning of the term Sanga, that is attachment. This is very, very interesting and it is a little subtle, and we need to carefully understand this. So let us begin this discussion on Sanga in the form of attachment. Okay, now let us consider Sanga in the form of attachment. So Sanga means association, dhyayato vishayan pumsan, Sanga station. And it can also mean attachment. Sangam tektva dhananjaya. Give up attachment. In Karma Yoga, the most important thing is to not to be attached to the fruits of your work. So now from that angle, we are going to discuss in the form of attachment. Now he says, attachment are of two kinds, attachment for prejudices and attachment for assets. Prejudices means, if you have a policy of making a prejudgment because you favor someone, so you are prejudiced against him, you can say. So prejudices, what exactly is, Bhaktivinoda Thakur will explain further. Let us see, but just a given meaning of what prejudices are. First, I will discuss the attachment for prejudices. There are two types of prejudice, ancient and current. So attachment is of two types, prejudices, attachment for assets. And then now prejudices, there is prejudice which is ancient and which is current. So like that is the classification within attachment. So now I have put this in the chart. We have already finished the discussion of association with noise and attachment. Attachment due to prejudices, attachment for assets. Now the Hare Krishna. Sorry, there has been some internet issue. It has not been working. So I'll just recap we discussed up till now. There is some internet issue. Usually technology is always sometime or the other time gives some trouble. We can't expect it to work perfectly. Okay. So I began with today's discussion on how Bhaktyaloka Thakur is going to analyze association from a different angle. Association due to attachment. And within attachment, there is two types: attachment due to prejudice and attachment due to assets or for assets. And within attachment due to prejudices, there is ancient as well as modern. So here I'm putting in the slide. Yeah, in attachment for prejudices, there is ancient and modern. So first he will discuss ancient and then current, sorry, not modern, current. Okay, what is this ancient prejudice? The conditioned living entity has been performing fruitive activities and endeavoring for knowledge since time immemorial. So one does karma. Any action has to be done with knowledge. You need knowledge to do action. You know, you want to become a millionaire, or you want to get some, you want to go for a job so that you can get some house or a car, whatever it is. So you need to do that with knowledge. You need the specific skill. A carpenter has to do his karma of, you know, making the furnitures, but he has to have knowledge of carpentry. So there is action and there is knowledge. So the conditioned soul has been performing fruitive activities, karma, and endeavoring for knowledge, jnana, since time immemorial. And the prejudices that have developed in his subtle body as a result are called ancient prejudices. So I hope now you're getting what exactly is the definition of ancient prejudices. Anyone knows the Sanskrit term, what we call for this ancient prejudices, which are stored in our subtle body? What do we call it in our Sanskrit term? Anyone knows? Can raise their hands. Any idea? Nadia Chaitanya Prabhuji?
No, Prabhu, no.
Parsarthi Prabhu, any idea?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, because I'm on mobile data, I have not been able to hear what you have said. Could you please repeat the question?
These ancient prejudices, that is the actions what we perform with knowledge, these are stored in our subtle body. And this is what is defined as ancient prejudices, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying. So what is the Sanskrit term we use to understand these ancient prejudices? What do we call it?
Vasana.
Huh?
Vasana?
Yes, again, it can be within vasanas, a specific term is there. There is a specific term within vasana. Sabhav. Sabhav, it is Sabhav. Yeah. Those prejudices are known as one's nature. Swabhava. Nature means bhava, one's means one's swabhava. So these ancient prejudices, you know, if somebody is sutar is one who does, you know, carpentry work. He has knowledge about it and he does actions. So based on those kind of actions, the impressions are stored in his subtle body. Somebody is Brahmanical, intellectual class. He's studying Shastra. So he has sattvic impressions. Somebody is a Kshatriya. You know, he knows, you know, how to use Shastra. So he does actions, Kshatriya Dharma, and he has knowledge of Dhanurveda. And this nature is his Swabhav. So this is what is called as, ancient prejudices. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita 5:14, na kartrutvam na karmani lokasya shrajati prabhu na karma phala sanyogam swabhavastu pravartate swabhava. It is because of swabhava. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in order to substantiate his point, he is quoting 5.14 in the Bhagavad Gita. The embodied spirit, master of the city of his body, does not create activities, nor does he induce people to act, nor does he create the fruits of action. Na karma phala sanyoga. Na kartrutve. Kartrutve does not create acts. Na karmani. Not induces people to act. All this is enacted by the modes of Swabhavas to pravartate. It is because of his nature. So everyone is controlled by his nature, his Swabhav. Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan comments, Anadi Pravritta Pradhana Vasanatra Swabhava. Yes, as you had mentioned, Vasana, that is Swabhava. Shabdena Ukta Pradhanika Deyadiman Jiva Karita Karta Cheti Na Viviktasya Tattvam Iti. So this is in the Sanskrit, Baldev Vidyabhushan's commentary on the Gita Bhushan. The primordial material desire that is active since time immemorial is called one's nature, Swabhava. Anadi Pravritya Pradhana Vasanatra Swabhava. So these vasanas are in the form of desires. I am born, and as I grow, I have a desire, to study Shastra. It is because of my previous Swabhava. I am conditioned by the mode of goodness, or I'm interested in management, Kshatriya nature, or I'm interested in business, Vaishya nature. So this nature or material desire, which is active since Anadi, is one's nature, Swabhava. Due to such a desire, the living entity is supplied with material bodies and other paraphernalia. So based on the conditioning in the subtle body, your gross body, is fashioned in that, based on the impressions in the subtle body. So if you have a Swabhava of a Kshatriya, then you need a Kshatriya body. A Kshatriya body has very strong arms, very strong chest. His physical build-up is very strong. If somebody has Sattvic impressions, he is a Brahminical person, and he is a lean, structured, not necessarily, but just a generic thing I'm explaining. So based on the subtle conditionings, you will get a material body. False identification with the body causes one to act and causes others to act, although this is not the pure soul's real constitution or nature. Jiva karita karta cheti na viviktasya tatvamita. So it causes one to act and causes others to act. But this is not the pure real constitution or the nature of the soul. It's the conditioned nature of the soul. Again from the Bhagavad Gita. So two verses Bhaktivinoda Thakur has quoted to explain this Swabhav. One is 5.14, Swabhavastu pravartate. And now he is quoting 18 chapter 60th. Swabhavajena kaunteya nibhadhya svena karmana kartum nechasi anmohat karishyas avashopitat. Under illusion, mohat, you are now declining to act according to my direction. Kartum nechasi yan mohat. But compelled by the work born of your own nature. Swabhava jena kaunteya. Jena means born. You will act all the same. Nibadhya svena karmana. You will be compelled to act according to your nature. karishyasi avashopitat, O son of Kunti. So this is again in the 18th chapter also Krishna tells this to Arjuna. Now, having established Sabhava, ancient prejudices, is Sabhava, and quoting two verses. Now Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentions regarding prejudice of knowledge, bondage of prejudice of knowledge. I told you, Gyan and Karma, both are there, prejudices. The Bhagavad Gita says, Tatra Sattvam Nirmalatvat Prakasham Anamayam Sukha Sangena Badnati Jnana Sangena Chanaga. O sinless one, Anaga, the mode of goodness, Sattvam, being purer than others, Nirmalatvat, Tatra Nirmalatvat, is illuminating, Prakasham, and it frees one from all sinful reactions, Anamayam. Those situated in that mode become conditioned by a sense of happiness and knowledge. Sukha Sangena Badnati, Jnana Sangena. So the mode of goodness conditions, I am happy, I am content, I am satisfied with doing a sattvic activity, and I have knowledge, I am superior to others. People are ignorant, they don't have knowledge, I am highly educated. So this is how one, being conditioned by happiness and knowledge, one is still bound by the mode of goodness. So prejudice of knowledge, this is the shloka or the verse given reference by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Now again he quotes Baldev Vidyabhushan. Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan comments, Jnani aham sukhi aham iti abhimanastena purusham nibadnati. I am wise. Jnana aham. Jnanya aham. I am happy. Sukhi aham. By this pride, iti abhimanastena, the living entity is bound by goodness. This is how goodness is like just binding with subtle, fine, thin, golden wires, you can say. People's association with karma and gyan is the result of attachment born from the prejudices of one's nature that are produced from past karma and gyan. So association with karma and gyan result attachment, which is born of prejudices of one's own nature, and this is produced from past karma and past gyan. In the past, you have acted in the mode of goodness, and if you get another human birth, you will be conditioned by the mode of goodness, and you will act according to that nature. This is how deep conditioned nature is. What to speak of the mode of passion and ignorance? Even the mode of goodness is binding. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that's why quoting this verse from the Bhagavad Gita, 14th chapter. Although it is nirmalatvat, it is, prakasham, it is illuminating, it is free from sinful reactions, anamayam, but still it is binding. Sukha sangena, jnana sangena. In the previous verse, the Mayavadi's bondage of Gyan is displayed. So this verse, he's saying it's bondage of Mayavadis. Mentioned. Regarding the karmis, the Bhagavad Gita says, so how Gyan binds, now how karma binds. Na buddhi vedam janayet agyanam karma sanginam joshayet sarva karmani vidvan yukta samacharan. So as not to disrupt the minds of ignorant men attached to fruitive results of prescribed duties. Na buddhi vedam janet agyanam karma sanginam. He is attached to the fruits. A learned person, vidwan, should not induce them to stop work. Rather, by working in the spirit of devotion, he should engage them in all sorts of activities. Joshet sarva karmani. Vidvan yukta sarva. For the gradual development of Krishna consciousness. Okay, so this is one reference for karmi's bondage, and this is another reference for the jnana, how jnana causes bondage. I hope it is clear. After quoting these two verses, Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentions, from ancient prejudices, one develops association with karma and jnana. So you can all observe that in this life also we are particularly attached to one kind of knowledge. Somebody has interest in engineering, somebody has interest in other science, somebody has interest in gardening, sattvic activity. So why? Because of prejudices from previous life's conditionings, ancient prejudices. That is the reason we have this kind of conditionings, because of karma sanga and jnana sanga from the previous life's conditionings, or multi anadi, as it is mentioned, anadi. So that's how the ancient prejudices are, and that's what actually makes our swabhava. Association with these ancient prejudices is inevitable. Despite all attempts, up to suicide, one cannot give up one's prejudices. So this is a very important point for devotees to understand. Sometimes we try to act transcendentally, that we are devotees, and what to speak, even in marriage, in a Krishna conscious marriage, the boys and girls nature has to be seen. And even if somebody is practicing Krishna consciousness for many, many years, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years, he will act according to his nature. As long as one doesn't come to the stage of bhava, when one is liberated, one is still conditioned by his ancient prejudices. If somebody is in the ashram, he is more Brahminical in nature, he would like to study Shastra and do teaching. So that is because, not because his authorities have told, and, Prabhupada has told. Yes, all these factors are there. But it is according to his nature. There are some devotees who join the ashram also, but they like to do more fundraising because it is their nature to raise funds because of ancient prejudices. So one cannot give up despite all attempts up to suicide. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is going to a great extreme. One cannot give up on prejudices. I know one brahmachari, I know him since 20 years. From the day he joined, he was collecting funds. And he moved from the one temple to a temple in Belgaum. And there also, he thought he'll change his nature and do some preaching. But there also he started a project where there was fundraising only. At last he shifted to a Gurukul project, and his colleague, he is more of a Brahminical nature who likes to do teaching. But this friend of mine still has continued to do fundraising only. And now he's almost 55, 60, nearing 60, but still he's, I asked him this time when he was when I was with him in the Gurukul, why don't you go more for teaching? He said, in a week, 1 or 2 classes I take. Other time I'm moving around to raise funds. So one cannot give up one's prejudices. This devotee should come down to reality, come down to the practical world and understand this. Don't think that we are practicing Krishna consciousness. Actually, Krishna consciousness is very high thing. We are still, in the kindergarten, you can say. To come to the level of Sarva Dharman Parityaja is a very, very lofty thing. So one has to understand that one is conditioned by his own nature. This is very important for us to understand. Okay, there is one question. Take it up. Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Prabhuji, what does Bhaktivinoda Thakurji mean by saying suicide? What does he mean by?
You have to understand He is not saying suicide, up to suicide. I think I lost. No. Okay. Up to suicide, he's saying. That means one is conditioned by one's nature, which he cannot give up. That's the point he's trying to make. One cannot give up his ancient prejudices. He has to act according to his conditioned nature. That's the point. And that's why he's giving an extreme example of suicide. Are you getting this point?
Okay.
Yeah. Just give me half a minute. Yeah, we'll continue. I have to get some water to drink because it's very hot here. So, despite all attempts, up to suicide, one cannot give up one's prejudices. The prejudices or attachments for good and bad attained in this life due to association are called modern prejudices. So, in this life, the country you're born in, the place you're born in, the cultural environment you are born in, all that cultural conditioning will form, you'll have your what is right and what is wrong, what is good, what is bad. For people in Burma, I'm speaking during Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur, something which is rotten, dead, decaying matters, foul smell, it is, it is a food for them, and they can't handle pure ghee smell. So in this life, because of the cultural conditioning, the environmental conditioning, the conditioning due to place, the conditioning of your surroundings, upbringing, whatever conditionings you come across in this life, they are what? They are called as modern prejudices. You see, today the whole culture is, very fast degrading, and we can see that children, want to just imitate the Western world or the Western culture. So, and even if you go in today's village setup, the village children, they are attracted to this modern kind of a culture, and they follow that kind of a culture. So these kind of cultural conditionings which they acquire in this life, they are called as modern prejudices. Everyone in the world is under the control of these two kinds of prejudices, ancient and modern. When a living entity is not bound by Maya, then by nature he is a servant of Krishna. So when he'll be not bound by Maya, when he'll become free from the clutches of Maya, anyone? Anyone would like to answer? When he'll become free from the grounds of Maya? Anyone would like to try? Yes, Parth Sarthi Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. When he is completely surrendered to Krishna.
What is the stage of bhakti? At what stage of bhakti this happens?
Prema.
Bhava. Devi Isha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratya Mameva Prapadyante Maya Metam Taranti. He crosses when he completely surrenders, yes, that is true. But at the stage of bhava, his complete connection with the material world is cut off and he's situated in his swarupa. Jivera swarupoy Krishnera Nityadas. He has realized his swarupa. At the stage of bhava, only one realizes his swarupa and he can realize Krishna. And what is this rasa with Krishna, whether it is in dasya, sakya, vatsalya, or madhurya. So this happens at the stage of bhava. Until then, one is controlled by his conditioned nature. So that was a point I also made, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur is, saying the same thing. Being bound by Maya, the living entity cannot give up ancient and modern wicked prejudices. At that time, ancient wicked prejudices become his second nature. That is the second nature. Only sadhu sang can reform the attachment to prejudices. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur has systematically developed now this attachment due to Sanga in the form of attachment. This is because of prejudice and attachment to assets. In prejudice, there is ancient and modern. What is ancient? What is modern? Now, how to give up this conditioning? Just to give a simple example, somebody by conditioning in his previous life, he's been a thief. I know in my school days, my neighbor, he had just had the habit of, going in the city and he used to, go to the shop and steal. And he got a lot of fun in doing it. So this was his conditioning. It's not that he was a thief, but he liked to do that. And I was surprised once I saw him doing this. And I asked him, why are you doing this? Although he's very rich, he has money, he can pay the money and buy things. He was stealing. And he was getting some pleasure in it. That's because of ancient prejudice. That's because of his second nature. It has become his second nature. And for a thief to give up this nature, the only solution is sadhu sang. And we know that story, where some sadhus were going to the holy place and a thief also just somehow joined them, being attracted to sadhu sang. But in the night, his hands would not stop. So, but he thought, oh, I am in the Sangha of devotees, I should not steal. But his nature was so deeply conditioned. So what he used to do, he used to pick one bag, keep it place it somewhere else and keep another bag. Next day morning, all the devotees are wondering where our bags are missing. And then he used to tell what to do. My nature is like this. I cannot steal now because I'm in the association of devotees, but my nature doesn't allow me. So this is what I did in the night. So sadhu sang is so powerful that it can only reform these attachment to prejudices. Sadhu sang is the only remedy for this disease, this deep-rooted disease it is. Anadi karma it is. Unless one reforms his attachment to prejudices, one cannot attain perfection in devotional service by any means. So if this attachment to prejudices is not gone, you cannot attain perfection. As stated in the Bhagavatam, Sango yaha samstriter hetuhu asatsu vihito diya saeva sadhushu krutaha nisangatvaya kalpite. Association for sense gratification is certainly the path of bondage. Sango hi samsrute hetur. But the same type of association performed with a saintly person, saeva sadhushu krito, leads to the path of liberation. Nisangataya kalpate. Even if performed without knowledge. Due to association with materialistic people, the living entity is bound in the cycle of birth and death. Even if one unknowingly associates with a materialist, the result must come. And even if one unknowingly associates with a real sadhu, he attains freedom from material association. So both these things work. Again in the Srimad Bhagavatam 11, 12, 1 and 2, it says, now the Lord is speaking, Na rodate mam yogo, na sankyam dharma evacha, na swadhyayas tapas tyago, neshta puru neshta prutam na dakshina, ratani yagyaschandamsi tirtani niyamayama, yathavruddhe satsangha sarvasangopahimam. So what is the Lord saying? The Supreme Lord said, Shri Bhagavan Vacha, O Uddhava, only by associating with my pure devotees, Satsanga, one can destroy material attachment. Sarva Sangopaha. So Sangha here now is attachment. That is how Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying Sangha is attachment now. We had seen one reference Sangha as association. Dhyayato Visayan Pumsan Sangasteshu Pajayatu. Now Sangha here is attachment. And attain me. Only by association with sadhu, he can destroy material attachment and attain me. Anyone knows in the Bhagavad Gita where Sangha is equated to attachment? In the 15th chapter. I'm giving you a hint. In the 15th chapter, where in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna speaks one verse where Sangha is referred as attachment. Anyone would like to try? I'll give you some, I think, some prize for this. Anyone in the 15th chapter where Sangha is mentioned as attachment? I've already given hint. Yes, Parth Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Sanga Sanjayate Kamam, that was?
Sangat Sanjayate Kyama comes in which chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Prabhuji? Which chapter it comes? Sangat Sanjayate Kama.
I don't know, Prabhuji.
Second chapter. Second chapter, verse 60-63. We should become thorough with which chapter, which verse is there, and we should know the verse number also. Yes, Nadia Chaitanya Prabhuji. Yes.
Hare,
Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes.
Prabhu, Nirmana Moha Jita Sanga Dosha.
Oh, excellent. Any other verse in the 15th chapter? Excellent quotation.
Oh, that one. I am remembering that one. Prabhu.
Yes, yes. That is also a good quote. It's an exact quote. Asanga Shastrena Dridena Chatva. Ashwatthamenam Suvirauda Moolam. Asanga Shastrena. So here, by the weapon of detachment, cut this deep-rooted, attachment. And here, it comes up more clearly, Sangadosh. Sangadosh means association, fault. And Prabhupada, if you see, if you read very carefully, he says, what is this, Chitta Sangadosha? He says, yeah. I remember, 1 second, let me. The whole world moves under this impression. People are considering the land, this earth belongs to human society, and they have divided the land under false impression that they are proprietors. One has to get out of this false notion that human society is the proprietor of this world. When one is freed from such false notion, he becomes free from all false association, asanga sanga, jita sanga dosha, caused by familial, social, and national affections. If you have still that concept that I am an Indian, you're still affected by national affection. I belong to, I am a Tamil Nadu person. I belong to Tamil. I'm just giving an example. Don't take it. I'm from Kerala, or I'm from Tamil Nadu, I'm from Karnataka, or I come from this community. And I'm from the family. So all these affections, because of family, social, and national affections, you have to become Jita Sanga dosha, conquered these faults. So this is the right quotation what Nadia Chetan Pro gave. So Sanga means attachment here. And attain me, yatha mam avaruddhe. One cannot attain me, na mam rodayati, by Ashtanga Yoga. Distinction from Atma and body, na sankyam. Practice of non-violence, dharma eva. Study of Vedas, na swadhyaya. Austerity, sannyas, tapos, tyaga. Sacrifices, charitable projects, donations, vows, worship of devatas, secret mantras, holy places, observing prohibitions and rules. So you cannot attain me by any of these things, but only by associating with your devotees, which can destroy all the material attachments. So this is the reference Bhaktivinoda Thakur is mentioning about Sangha. Okay, further. Association with prejudices is very dangerous. Very, very heavy statement of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. By affectionately associating with pure devotees of the Lord, one's association with prejudices in the form of karma and jnana is destroyed. Due to this association with prejudices, a living entity's propensity for ignorance and passion becomes stronger. Karma is because mode of passion is very strong. Whatever propensities for goodness, passion, and ignorance are seen in people's eating, sleeping, and sensual activities are all due to association with prejudices. Sabhava. So everyone has a different sabhava. Somebody likes very fine foods. Somebody likes, very tamasic food. Somebody likes more sattvic food. So all these are because of our association with prejudices, ancient. Karmis and Gyanis disrespect Vaishnavas only due to this attachment for prejudices. So our conceptions of things of this world are also based on our previous conditionings, and what Bhaktivinoda Thakur calls as prejudices. And based on that, we form opinions of what is right, what is wrong. And that's why Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying Karmis and Gyanis, that's why disrespect Vaishnavas. Now, very important and powerful statement. Until the attachment to prejudices is destroyed, the 10 offenses in chanting will not be uprooted. We have to take this very, very seriously. Now, when this happens in our stage of practice of bhakti, we have these 9 stages: Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajan Kriya, Nirti, Vritti, Nishta, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava, and Prem. So, when you can say that you have become free from the 10 offenses and now you're really chanting with taste, and you have given up your ancient prejudices and even modern prejudices of what is good, what is bad based on manodharma. So at which stage this happens in the 9 stages of bhakti? Vasant Naik Prabhuji, you should type to me only the answer. Otherwise others also can see. So at what stage? Anyone has any idea? Anyone would like to try? At what stage this happens? Destruction. These attachment to prejudices are completely destroyed. Yes, Parsarthi Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Bhava stage? Because Bhava stage is where Ruchi happens.
Yeah, but it's almost gone at a particular stage. Complete destruction, yes, but we get taste even more before that also. At Bhava stage, it is, you cannot imagine. But at the stage of Nishta, these prejudices are destroyed. That is why in the Gita, in the Bhagavatam, it is said, Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Naishtiki Bhakti, when we attain, the anarthas because of our past, good and bad, all are destroyed. Praya, almost they are destroyed. And further at the stage of Nishta, one is chanting the Namabash, and slowly in Namabash chanting, he gets taste, because Nishta means after Nishta is Ruchi. Then he becomes deeply attached to chanting the holy names, deeply attached to Krishna. That is Asakti. At the stage of Bhava, he attains Rasa. So at the stage of Bhava, he attains Rasa and Swarupa also, as I mentioned. But at the stage of Nishta, almost they are, uprooted. Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu. Abhadra. Abhadra means all these are the Abhadras, prejudices. Offenses at the feet of sadhus is due to being proud of one's karma and jnana. The offense in chanting in the form of blaspheming devotees enters the heart of the non-devotee and takes up residence there. Worldly attachment is contrary to acceptance of Krishna's undisputed supremacy, and it therefore does not allow the unfortunate living entity to fully surrender. Disobeying the spiritual master, considering the chanting of the holy names as equal to pious to internet is giving a little trouble. In such a condition, how can one be benefited? So this is how Bhaktivinoda Thakur is presenting, if you are caught up in this kind of a conditioning where you're committing offenses, then how will you be benefited? Therefore it is said, Asadbi saha sangastu na kartavyah kadachana yasmat sarvartahani swad adhapatash jayate. One should never associate with materialistic persons. Kadachan asadbi saha sangastu. For by doing so, all one's assets are lost. Yashmat sarvartha hani swad. He falls down from his position. Other patas tajayate. Oh, voice is not clear, huh? Let me see and try to change the connection. So maybe because of the connection that, yeah. Yeah. You hear me?
Voice is
It
sometimes.
has been seen that, pardon, the voice is still breaking.
Now it is okay, Prabhuji.
Oh, now it's better. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. Yeah. There's also noise here a lot. There's some distraction because of. Okay. It has been seen that many fortunate souls have given up attachment for prejudices by the association of pure Vaishnavas. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying that many fortunate souls have given up attachment to prejudices. How? By associating with pure Vaishnavas. Here, mark the point, association with pure Vaishnavas. Association with pure Vaishnavas. He gives example. From the scripture, it is well known that by association of Sri Narad Muni, the hunter, Migari, and Ratnakar, Valmiki attained auspiciousness. The foremost instruction of Sri Ramanujacharya is this: if you cannot purify yourself by any endeavor whatsoever, then just go sit with the Vaishnavas and you will achieve all auspiciousness. You're struggling very hard with your conditionings and they're harassing trouble. You just come in the association of sadhus and just sit with them. That's it. Don't do anything. Just sit in the association of sadhus and immediately you can feel the effect. This is what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur is now quoting Ramanujacharya. By observing the pure characteristics of a devotee, in a very short time, a person's mind is changed. His attachment for sense enjoyment decreases, and the seedling of bhakti sprouts in the heart. So this is what will happen in the association of sadhus. And we saw Prabhupada, how he went in the Western world and what kind of conditionings they were having. Forget the ancient, the modern conditionings, what they had. And they were able to give up because of association of a pure devotee like Prabhupada. One even gradually develops a taste for the Vaishnavas' food and behavior. We have seen how by associating with Vaishnavas, people have given up many anarthas: taste for associating with women, thirst for wealth, desire for sense enjoyment and liberation, inclination for karma and jnana, eating meat and fish, drinking wine, smoking tobacco, and the desire to chew pan. By observing a Vaishnava's quality of not uselessly wasting time, avyartha kalatvam, many people have easily given up anarthas such as laziness, oversleeping, useless talk, urge of speech. So this avyartha kalatvam is one thing which we need to work on a lot. It is very, very important. Oh, yeah, coffee also you have to give up attachment to. We have also seen that by associating with Vaishnavas for some time, someone's cheating propensity and the desire for fame has been destroyed. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is giving his own experience. We have seen with our own eyes that by associating with Vaishnavas with a little affection, all other associations such as attachment for prejudices has been vanquished. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying we have seen those who are attached to winning fights, those who are expert at attaining dominion, those who are eager to accumulate great wealth, all such types of people have attained devotional service by being purified in the association of Vaishnavas. Even the hearts of persons who think I will defeat the world by my arguments and attain supremacy have been pacified. How Prabhupada is to pacify the hippies who used to come and slowly, take them towards, chanting of Hare Krishna, and later on Prabhupada made them Vaishnavas. So how argumentative they used to come sometimes and pose very challenging questions to Prabhupada. Prabhupada very softly with genuine compassionate heart filled with humility is to answer and defeat them, at the same time win them and make them devotees. That was the geniusness of Prabhupada. Without the association of Vaishnavas, there is no alternative for rectifying the attachment for prejudices, because these are anadi, deep conditioning from multi lifetimes. So we have seen now attachment for prejudices. Now we'll see attachment for assets. This is quite external. The attachment for prejudices is internal attachment in the heart. The attachment for assets is something which is outside us. And that is a little gross and we can see. But the Swabhava attachment is very deep-rooted and it is subtle and sometimes we cannot understand. That's why Bhaktivinoda Thakur went quite in detail to discuss that. One should carefully give up the attachment for material assets. People in general have spontaneous attachment for house, household paraphernalia, clothes, ornaments, wealth, wife and children's health, their own health, eatables, trees and animals. Now, in this, I think trees and animals have gone. Animals is there, of course, dogs and cats. Here, animals refers to, in fact, like cows, camels, horses, which were used for, every family had to have them. Now it is mostly cars, bikes, like that. Some people are so addicted to smoking, chewing pan, eating fish and meat, and drinking alcohol that their practice of spiritual life is obstructed. Many people do not respect the Lord's remnants out of great attachment to eating things like fish. Especially in Orissa and Bengal, this is a problem, especially in any coastal country. When you're preaching, this is a difficulty they face, that these people, they don't want to give up attachment to eating fish. Because of the desire to constantly smoke, many people study of devotional scriptures, relish for hearing and chanting, and remaining long in temples is obstructed. I don't know what something is. Many people study of devotional scriptures, relish for hearing and chanting, and remaining long in the temples is obstructed. Remaining for a long time, I mean, that is the point. Attachment to these things are averse to the constant practice of devotional service. If one does not carefully give up these things, then he cannot get happiness from his devotional service. Attachment for these things are easily destroyed by the association of devotees. Still, one should try to destroy these petty attachments by fully engaging in devotional service. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur doesn't go more in detail with the assets, just gives practical understanding what we should do. Now he says how we should develop these petty attachments, destroy these petty attachments by observing vows approved in devotional service. Those attachments are vanquished. By properly observing Harivasara, Ekadasi, and appearance day of the Lord, those attachments are vanquished. The rules of such vows are the provisions for diminishing one's attachments. There are prescriptions for practicing devotional service while giving up all types of enjoyment on those days. So because of our ancient prejudice, sometimes somebody is from North India, he likes to eat sweets, rabdi or whatever it is. I'm just giving an example again. And he, even coming in practice of spiritual life, he's very much attached to having that. So they can act as obstacles in our practice of devotional service. So one has to give up this type of enjoyments by taking vows, especially, in the Kartik month, we take vows. Here is a very interesting. There are two types of eatables, those which sustain one's life and those which gratify the senses. So mark this point, there are two types of eatables. There is healthy eating, healthy food which is sustained, and there is snack item which is tasty for the tongue to gratify the senses. So among the two, which we should prefer for our devotional life? Among the two, which one we should prefer? Anyone? Yes, Parth Sarthi Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. That which sustains life.
Yeah, that which sustains one life. And if you want to practice pure devotional service, even that also you should give up. That which sustains one life also, that also we should not be attached to it. Whatever comes by the Lord's accord, yadricha labha santushta, dvanda atita vimatsara, as it is in the 4th chapter said. Eating grains and drinking is life sustaining. Fish, meat, pan, intoxicants, and smoking are all for gratifying the senses. On days of vows, unless one totally gives up sense gratificatory items, it is not a vow. As far as possible, life sustaining items should also be given up. According to the prescribed needs of one's bodily condition, one must try as far as possible to reduce the acceptance of life-sustaining eatables. Reduce. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, reduce. Of course, this is in the very advanced stage one has to do, and one needs a lot of sadhana and practice. And slowly, slowly, we should also give that up and transcend the bodily consciousness. There is no prescription for acceptance of sense gratifying items. The only prescription is to reject them. One of the limbs of a vrata is to diminish the devotee's propensity for enjoyment. So, this is there in the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu as one of the limbs of devotion. Bhogadi Tyaga Krishna Hetave. You Bhogadi Tyag, you give up Bhogadi for the pleasure of Krishna. If we don't do this, no, otherwise our spirit of enjoyment continues. So where is the question of our devotional service or our devotion increasing? If one thinks today somehow or other I will renounce, but tomorrow I will enjoy profusely, then the purpose of the vow will not be successful. So once one of my friend, he's in the Grahast ashram, he told that how all his family people are attached to every day eating some kind of sweet rice. Sweet has to be there in there. No, North Indians like a lot of sweets. So for Kartik month, they took a vow that 1 month all the family members will not eat sweet. And while they were performing this vrata, the last day of the Kartik month, they prepared the sweet rice. And as it is a tradition, they keep the pot on the top of the roof because the moon rays will pour nectar in it and it will become more sweeter. So the devotee was telling me whole night we were waiting when morning will come. And when the morning came, when they had to break the fast of the Kartik vow, everyone feasted only on sweet rice and they did not eat any other item. So although they fasted for 1 month from sweet rice, but they jumped into having that sweet rice because the tongue was always thinking about when this vow will get over. So that is why if you renounce it, but later on enjoy it profusely, then the purpose of the vow will not be successful. I hope this point is very clear. It has to be clearly understood. This is what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying. The reason is that vows have been prescribed to give up the association of such items by gradual practice. Vows are usually for 3 days. So vows, if you want to take, don't take 1 month vow. Just take for 3 days. First by practicing vow for 3 days, then by practicing for 1 month, then by practicing for 4 months, Chaturmas. In this way, gradually one should completely uproot the attachment for sense gratifying items and leave them forever. Now, just let us do some small test. Arminder Prabhuji, where are you from? Which country or which place you are from? Are you there? No, okay. Hari Leela Mataji?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah. Mataji, where are you from? And from your childhood, which are the kind of items you like to have regularly? Just
So I've been raised in Middle East, Dubai.
uh-huh.
25 years we were there, and the Middle East, a lot of influence of sweets, but Lebanese, again another Arabic Arabic sweets. That was a big addiction for me during that
Okay.
time. So I miss that still. I don't know.
See, although it's not physically there, it is there in our mind.
Oh yes, yes, Prabhuji. That is why. Even coffee, I was a very big coffee addict. Somehow the other with the chanting, somehow coffee left me, or I left coffee.
Yeah,
But
okay.
sweets is still there in the mind.
Yes. Nadia Chaitanya Prabhuji, where are you from? And right from a childhood, which are the items which you are conditioned and you like to have? Are you there?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Prabhu, mango juice.
Mango juice, that's it. What are the other items?
Other item? No, Prabhu. No, not a specific.
Oh, okay. You're very fortunate. Parsarthi Prabhuji, you're from South India, I think. Right?
Prabhuji, I was also raised in Dubai,
Ah,
but now that's history.
ah,
Now, now I'm in India and I'm traveling. I am right now in Bangalore. But if you ask me what I am,
culturally conditioned by food. What is your cultural conditioning by food? Like South Indians like idli and dosa, without that they cannot say, or the curd rice, especially in Tamil Nadu. So like
yeah,
that,
uh,
like that, what
I,
is
I I don't know. I'm a South Indian, but I like North Indian food.
so we all see that, based on either the ancient prejudices or what is in the current prejudice, we have particular types of items which we like. Like for me, potato chips or finger chips. Um, and even if we give it up for some time, that will not do. What is Bhaktivinoda Thakur saying? You have to completely give it up. You have to completely give it up. So as long as one is not able to do that, no, leave them forever. And how we do that? At least we should first follow this one level for 3 days, for 1 month, Kartik month. Then you do for 4 months. In this way, gradually one should completely uproot the attachment for sense gratification. Even a tinge of sense gratification thing is there in your mind, then it will still hook us in this material world. You should remember. You have to completely leave them forever if you want to practice pure devotional service. For those who cannot remember the statements of Bhagavad Gita, Shipram Bhavati Dharmatma, he quickly becomes righteous in regard to the observance of vows. Their renunciation is temporary, like the bathing of an elephant. So, highest sense gratification in this material world, that is our conditioning. So, one has to become free from that. Only if one is not able to give up these, what is the wrong? Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying his observance of vow or that renunciation is not fixed, it is temporary. That is the point. So I'll just take the question, I'll just finish this. For those who desire to attain pure devotional service, the association of non-devotees and women is meant to be given up. You have to give up. It is extremely necessary for them to associate with sadhus in order to give up the attachment for prejudices. They must follow all vows meant for Vaishnavas in order to give up attachment for material objects, that is, attachment for material assets. One should not be negligent in these practices. One should follow these instructions with great care and respect. If one does not follow carefully, then cheating in the form of duplicity renders the whole endeavor. You will do shat, kutinati, if you don't follow them carefully. For those who do not have respect in this regard, attaining devotion to Hari becomes very rare, even after hearing for many births. So it is it's a clarion call for us now to wake up, to become serious in our practices of Krishna consciousness. Right? Evaluate, make a write a journal, and see, yes, I have this previous prejudices, and with the chanting, many of the things I have given up. But deep root my I have that, and how I have to ease up. Especially when I'm referring to Bhavati Dharmatma, I refer to the words, committing an abominable activity. Today is really giving some trouble. We are not able to. There is some technical problem with the internet. There are just 4-5 slides. I just want to finish the discussion. Where were we? Yeah. Yeah, this is where we were discussing. Yeah. It's very rare even after hearing for many births. Now, Bhaktivinoda Thakur brings up a very important point. What is association and giving up association? What is association and what is giving up association? Many people have doubts about this. Doubts may be there because if just by coming close to a materialist or material object is considered associating with them, then there is no way to give up this association. Just coming near a materialist or coming near an object is association, then we cannot give up this association. As long as the material body is there, how can one give up the proximity of these things? How can a Grahastha Vaishnava give up his family members? One cannot give up the association of deceitful persons even if they are renunciates. One will have to come across materialists in one's life, whether one is a grahastha or a renunciate. Yes, everyone has to come across these kind of materialist people. Therefore, the limit of giving up association of materialist is prescribed in Sri Updeshamrita as follows. Now, what is Bhaktivinoda Thakur discussing? Kindly follow this. It's very important. What is association and giving up association? Association is not just being with a materialist, because or being close in proximity with some material object. No, that is not. Because then, everyone is in that kind of association. So is that really association? No. So what is real association? Bhaktivinoda Thakur is coming and he's quoting this verse from the Updeshamrita. Dadati pratigrunnati guhyamakhyaati pruchati unkte bhojate chaiva shadvidam priti lakshanam. Offering gifts in charity, accepting charitable gifts, revealing one's mind in confidence, inquiring confidentially, accepting prasad and offering prasad are the 6 items of love shared by one devotee and another. O sadhakas, one must accept proximity with both bad and good people as one passes his life. This equally applies to householders and renunciates. Proximity must be there. Nevertheless, one should not engage in bad association. Giving in charity, accepting charity, revealing one's mind, hearing one's mind, accepting foods, and giving foods. If done with love, these are called association or Sangha. Only these 6 things, if you do with love, then it is called Sangha. Please mark this point and note it very carefully. Giving some foodstuffs to a hungry person and accepting some charity from a pious man is done out of duty, not out of love. Even if they are materialists, this type of engagement is not considered Sangha or association. But if they are pure devotees, then such activities are performed out of love. When acts are performed out of love, then it is association. Therefore, giving charity to pure Vaishnavas and accepting items or wealth from them becomes satsanga. Giving charity to a materialist or accepting charity from one, if done out of love, becomes a satsanga. So here is a definition of satsanga and asatsanga. When a materialist approaches you, where whatever is required to be done should be done only out of duty, not out of love. One should not speak confidentially with a materialist. Generally, there is some love involved in confidential speaking. Therefore, it is association. There is some confidential, Guya Makati means there is some love there. So that's why it is considered as association. So there we have to be very careful. Whom we reveal our heart, we should be very careful. Because Sangat Sanjayate Kama. While meeting a materialistic friend, one should speak only what is extremely necessary. At that time, it is better not to exhibit heartfelt love. But if that friend is a proper Vaishnava, then one should accept his association by speaking to him with love. This type of behavior with relatives and friends creates no hostility. So with our relatives and all, we should do all these things as duty. There is no odd association in ordinary talk. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is very clearly clarifying things of what is Sangha and what is not Sangha based on if it is done with love or if it is done with also duty. One should behave with ordinary people as one externally behaves with a stranger while buying something in a market. He gives a very interesting example. The same dealings with a pure devotee of the Lord should be done out of love. If one is obliged to feed hungry people, needy people, the teachers, he should do so as a host dutifully cares for his guest. There is no need to exhibit love. Care for them, but not out of love. One should feed pure Vaishnavas with love, and when required, accept the remnants given by them with love. If one can behave in this way while giving in charity, accepting charity, speaking confidentially, hearing confidentially, feeding and accepting food with one's wife, children, servants, maidservants, strangers, and whoever else one meets, there will be no unholy association, only good association. If we follow this principle, what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is mentioning in the 6 loving exchanges, how one should do out of love for pure Vaishnavas and out of duty for others. If we follow this, then we'll not fall in asat sang. There is no hope of achieving devotion to Krishna until one gives up unholy association in this way. A renunciant Vaishnava should accept whatever alms he receives by madhukari or begging at the house of a honest householder with the above mentioned consideration. He should always remember the difference between gross begging and madhukari. A Grahastha Vaishnava should accept prasad, grains and drinks in the house of another Grahastha who has pure character. So this is for Grahastha Vaishnavas. They should not accept from, usually in the name of preaching, when we go to new families and meet, and they might offer out of love, and if we accept, we might get affected. So this is very subtle, and that's why we should be very, very, very careful about these things. That's why Prabhupada is saying another, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying another Grahastha who has pure character. One should always be cautious about taking prasad in the house of non-devotee and one with bad character. There is no need to speak further about this. Due to their pious activities, those who have developed faith and devotional service have a little intelligence by the mercy of Krishna. Due to that intelligence, they can easily understand the essence of the Acharya's instructions. Therefore, only a few words are needed to instruct them. Those who have no pious traits have no faith. Even if they are given volumes of instruction, they will not understand a thing. Therefore, Srila Rupa Goswami has given only a few words of instruction in Sri Deshamrit. So just in essence, Rupa Goswami has given Sanga Tyagat, but Bhaktivinoda Thakur has made it clear in his essays. We should go in detail and understand it. So that ends the Sanga Tyaga. Any questions? One devotee had a question. Just wanted to complete that whole section on what is considered as association and not as association based on 6 loving exchanges of text 4 of Deshamrit. So that's why I went through those points briefly. So any questions, any clarification anyone has? Okay, Parsarthi Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Prabhuji, Bhaktivinoda Thakurji is saying about that one should, by observing vows, one should work on their attachment for sense-gratifying things and ultimately leave them. Leave them means he should leave the attachment, or he should give up eating that. It means that he should leave the attachment.
Yeah, it can refer to both. And initially giving it up and being detached is recommended in the sadhaka stage, but as one advances at a very high level, he will do everything based on what is anukulasya sankalpa, pratikulasya. Oh, this devotee has offered me sweet. To please him, I am having. But the same devotee, when he offers sweet in the conditioned state, in the sadhaka stage, oh, I like sweets. Oh, give me, I want to have it. That is because we are attracted, raga dvesh. We are working in the platform of raga and dvesh based on our conditioned nature. But one who is at a very advanced platform has given up all this, and now he has got taste, ruchi for chanting and Krishna's names. He might accept or he might not accept based on what is anukulyasya sankalpa and pratikulyasya varjanam. Based on this principle, he might do it. So initially, it means to completely give up, completely become detached from it. So one has to do at one particular stage in one's spiritual life in order to make advancement in Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, it's difficult. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is making it very clear. We have to take the words of the Acharyas very seriously. One can never attain pure devotion to Krishna. Even if you have one attachment for one thing, like papad, somebody likes to eat a lot of papad along with khichdi or something. He likes to eat papad. So one small thing also, you have that attachment, then it'll be binding. So that's why we have to, in the initial stage, completely give it up. Is it clear, Prabhuji?
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll stop here, and from tomorrow we'll begin the last essay, which is Sadhu Vritti. Very interesting topic, a very long essay. Probably it will take 3 classes for us to finish this. So that will be the last of the essays. It's a very, very important essay, because how, as a grahastha or a sannyasi, how one should follow the previous acharyas. That is what being discussed in Sadhu Vritti. So from tomorrow we'll begin, and by next week we will finish our seminars on Bhaktyaloka. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai, Shri Bhaktyaloka